Welcome back, dear friends, and happy Wednesday. I hope everyone's doing well. And if you have a spring break, that it is feeling really warm and springy. So today I wanted to continue back in here, and I don't have anything to read, but I have some thoughts that I think we'll connect with. We're going to do a little something inside with the bunny and then come back and add some weaving. I'll show you how we can continue to play and add some different dimensions to the stitches that we learned in the fly stitch last week. And then we'll do all sorts of things. And then we'll carry over into Friday. So kind of an update. I know that it's towards the end of March now. It's March 23rd here. And I wanted to update you on this little project. This was January, this was February with Valentine's Day and my hopes for spring weather. And then this month in March, of course, there's some of this really lovely floral fabric that I have that I'm really enjoying. And then this entredot. But this is kind of like a symbol that connects to some of the fabric scraps that I had that I wanted to play around with and go over off the edges and even into April, because it's gonna help me remember some little bits and pieces of a baby project that I'm making for a friend. And I'll just kind of quickly show you. This is one of my favorite little designs. I could probably link this in the below. It's a summer breeze baby dress. It's really simple. It's lined, and I think that makes it more simplistic because there's not really a zipper or anything. And anyway, so it's not about the dress, but you see that it's in the same sort of color scheme that I have, and so I thought that'd be really nice. It has the entredot at the bottom of the little skirt, and I did some embroidered flowers in there. I hope it's going to be a really lovely gift for a couple of people that are extra special, and this will be their first baby. And so I thought this would be kind of nice to just play around with this thread, and I'll give you an update on how it's turning out. So I've got some blues and a lot of these colors I'm going to add into this. And then I have this space, so I think I'm going to put some more of those little bullion roses in here to kind of pull this all together. And it's going to be a lovely little remembrance of that little gift that I made. So I just share that because, if you have some scraps and you wonder what to do with it, well, you could totally just make something special or to stitch with whenever you want to get to your mindfulness part, and you can just sew and let go. So we'll come back to this, and I bring this project. This hat really hasn't moved forward very much because I've had lots of things to do, and it's taken a back seat. But I bring this out because I wanted to show you the seed stitch, because we've been doing straight stitch, and the things that we did last week really were kind of moving in one fashion, either across, up, down, all around. So we've just kind of gotten this piece, and then I'm going to get to the seed stitching, which is random. So and you would think, wow, random, I can do random. That's pretty simple. But I actually find it challenging, and I've heard other sewists say the same thing, textile artists, that it's harder to be stitching at random than it is to do it in motion. But that's a little bit of what I want to start with. So let's get started. Let's do some sewing. And I've got some things to let go, and I'll share, and maybe it'll resonate with you as well. And so I've got my string here. I'm actually using some Sashiko thread, and it's in this pink color. So what I want to do, I find that I like to use the seed stitch best when I want to kind of offset or maybe accentuate something. So of course my little bunny here is all white, and I'm not going to cover him in the pink, but I'm going to kind of go around and because when I think of seed stitching and random, I think of kind of this loss of control a little bit. And this one might not be the best to show you because it's going to really blend in. So I'll do my best. And if it doesn't, I'll just kind of edit this out and show you on a different place. So, it's spring break and my family's at home and I'm having such a good time with them. I've even got to have a date lunch with my husband. And, you kind of feel, do you ever feel, I felt this week, that kind of this pressure to be happy. And so then when some things kind of come up that make that challenging, then I often feel like I have to suppress emotions. And I was wondering, do you feel that way too? Do you get to a place after a long winter, you feel a little bit like, you've had to be so organized, or maybe that's your work environment. When I was younger, I was shy and I could hold it together, I guess, at school. And I would be one of the most perfect students. And then I would come home and my mom would say I would just kind of go crazy and wild and I'd be loud. And I'm sure people who know me, that's probably would be surprising because I am a very controlled person. And so that's why I kind of wanted to pop up the seed stitch, because in this bunny here, there's all these crazy stitches and going different directions. And that's the random piece. You just, wherever you're putting it, that's the end of one seed. And then you pop it back up some other way. And so you have to kind of pay attention. Sometimes I try to make them go perpendicular so that looks a little bit more random. Oops. And my fabric gets caught into the loop. It's pretty long. So then there's this one here, and I think I'm going to go down here so that it's kind of across or a little bit perpendicular or angled towards that one, so it's not quite as controlled. But then I've also left this space here. So you see, random is not super easy, and you do kind of have to plan ahead. But I actually have enjoyed this a lot more than I thought I would. I learned it from doing the tags with Handmade, and from Handmade, who's also on YouTube and has been amazing at teaching me different things, and probably many others as well. And it's really added to my enjoyment of this whole process. I'm going to do another one over here. But this idea of, sewing, I think, does have specific processes, and it's, very controlled. And since this month was about play and not having to do things perfect, I really liked bringing out the seed stitch today. And my kids are at home, so there might be sounds on my video that aren't typically on there. So, in the spirit of spring cleaning and renewing, I think we should break out of always having to be so in control of emotion. How freeing would it be if, we felt sad and we could just feel sad? Or what if we didn't have to be happy all the time? Because I often kind of hold my feelings in, and I think that ends up making me feel vulnerable, like the bunny down in there. And maybe that resonates with you as well. Oops, I'm getting myself out of screen, sorry. And let me zoom in a little bit, so you can see me just doing this at random. There we are. So fairly random, and you can have them be as close together or as big and wide. I like just some little stitches. Sometimes I do some like stab stitching here with intentional spacing to just go around and do some random stitching so that the emphasis really is where you're wanting anyone who's watching this and there to view. The center view is right there, and so that's kind of what I wanted to focus on with this little part. And then what it would be like and how freeing it would be. So as you're playing, think about ways you can free up space, or ways that you get to kind of let go of some emotion. And again, that's a lot of why I created this channel, so we could do this together and come together and share some ideas and some thoughts from other authors who are thinking and feeling some of the same things that we are. And so this is just a new rhythmic way of stitching, and it's kind of fun because you can just play within that space and just continue around and around. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on what that felt like for you. Did it feel like you needed more control and you recognize that actually you really love the repetitive stitching of the back and forth of the running stitch? Or did you like having a little bit of something to change it up and re-engage your brain? Sometimes it helps to have a renewed focus. And so I'm going to continue around here and then pause, and then we'll get to the second stitch that I wanted to do with you today. There. So then all the seed stitches are around, and it's just a little bit shiny. I really like that. I'm going to tie it off, and I'm going to let that part go. All that craziness, just gonna kind of let go, but acknowledge it. It's okay. We deserve to have our feelings validated and provide some space and care for that, don't we? All right, so our bunny is kind of in there. And then now I wanted to show you just a little trick that we might think about or try. And I'm actually going to make this look a little bit more viney. I'm going to, well, I don't know if it's really weaving, but I'm going to put a piece of thread, and I'm just getting some small green colored, not small, but a shorter piece than I would usually do. And so I haven't practiced this, but I'm thinking I'm going to come in right at the bottom, right at the base. I'm going to draw all my thread through. Now, within the needle, I've got the pointy part and I've got the eye of it. And I saw this technique used by another artist, and I wouldn't have never thought to actually put the eye of the needle through a stitch, but it's true. If you do it with the pointy end, it can kind of go through and split it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of weave through one end and back through the other side. I'm just going to do this all the way up, kind of tug that over. And I'm hoping when I'm done, it's going to look a little bit more viney than it did. I mean, I liked how it looked before. I'm hoping that this will just take it to the next level, if we will. Something new and fun to try. So you can see that's a little bit different than the other one. I will likely do the other side. Probably on Friday, I'm going to show you some little different bouillon knots that we can do, and I might add to that and a little bit down here.